What are some reality shows that we like to watch? This first clip is from 90 Day Fiance.
Right. Like, what do you think about if I don't convert and the child is going with you and then sees that I'm not, if I'm doing yoga and having a class and they're around just like Theron is in the morning, then if the child is more interested in what I believe in I'm doing, like, what's going to happen?
I will teach my child my religion. My child, you can't get him confused about his religion while I'm teaching him something.
Quality. All right, we're trying to get our camera fixed here. There we go. Okay, that's the first time we've been in focus the whole show. All right, cool beans. So, in this situation, we have a Muslim man, and he is with, and he's from, where's he from?
Egypt.
He's from Egypt.
Yes.
And he is with a Caucasian female. I forgot where she lives, but basically,
Arizona.
She's from Arizona. So she went over to Egypt rather, and they fell in love.
They met online.
They met online?
Yes.
Oh wow, that's
He saw a
even weirder.
bikini picture of her. He was like, "Hey," and then I guess she visited him, and then they got engaged. And
Wow.
Then,
That is crazy. All right, so
She's trying to
basically
bring it to America.
that's how that came to be. Now in the clip that you're watching, we're gonna react to it a little bit more because there's a lot more to the clip.
yes.
But the clip that you're about to watch is they're talking about kids and how it's gonna work once they're married.
We've
They're not
spoken
married
about
yet.
having a child together. I just feel like Muhammad would be an amazing father. He's just so great with Theron. So I would really love to share that experience with.
And just to, a little background, Theron is her other son, and he has like Down syndrome, I believe.
Down syndrome.
So yeah.
him. And the reality is I'm worried about the time frame and my age. It might not be something that could happen.
Sorry. She's like, what, 40?
She's 49.
Yeah, she's 49.
So I'm not sure if she's got the money saved for like what's it called?
IVF.
Geriatric pregnancy or something.
I mean, that's what happens when you hit the wall, but IVF is what it's called to like try to get.
Oh yeah. Isn't that like $20,000 or something like that?
Yeah, it's around there.
Ain't nobody got time for that. That's
If we have a
it is
chance to
better-
have-
pause it really fast. That is why it is better to, have a plan to get married early instead of, being for the streets. Like being for the streets is gonna run out, it's gonna get old, and all what are you left with? You're not left with anything. What, you had some good times for 20 to 40 minutes at a time? Like, you're not left with anything. You're literally not. You don't have. If you have a kid, the dad's probably not in his life because you probably chose a bad mate. Which is that's another issue. You shouldn't ever sleep with anybody you wouldn't want to be the father of your child, or if you're a guy, the mother of your child. That should be rule number 1. 2, you should probably abstain until marriage because that's what the good book says.
Yes, most definitely. But also, yeah, you should never sleep with anyone. If you don't want your kid to turn out like them, you probably shouldn't sleep with them.
Dang, that's heavy. Wait,
Yeah.
say that again. Say that again.
If you don't want your kid to turn out like them, you probably shouldn't sleep with them.
That is a bar. That's a bar. Let's get back into the reaction.
Child, I would love to have a child with you because I love you. But if not, that's not bothers me. I leave that to God.
There's peace there. He's
Right.
like, okay.
So she's in a rush, and he's like, but
Listen.
that does tell you the difference in mentality of the age. He's like, no, I gotta go because I don't have time, right? Whereas, honestly, guys, even if he was older, he still has time because guys can have that ability that girls or females do not.
Yep.
Where y'all go through a stage where y'all won't be able to have kids after a certain point, where guys can just, they can have kids at any point.
It's very important if I have a child. I will take my child to the mosque. I will with me,
Right. Like, what do you think about if I don't convert and the child is going with you and then sees that I'm not, if I'm doing yoga and having a class and they're around just like Theron is in the morning, then if the child is more interested in what I believe and I'm doing, like, what's going to happen?
I will teach my child my religion until they become like adult and they can choose to.
What if they
themselves.
choose to not be that at a younger age because they're exposed to what I do?
Let me make something clear.
Man, yeah, you might have to go back just a little bit because he's about to give
Yeah,
a bar.
you about to.
But he's being reasonable here. He's basically just saying, hey, I want my child to grow up. And granted, this isn't, the belief system that we would raise our kid in,
Right.
because we are Christians. But he's saying, let me raise my child in a structure that's been proven, right? Because Islam, they're very strict with their morals and how they live their life, rather than just having him base his whole life off of what he feels and what he wants to do, because that's not going to produce a productive young man or a productive young woman for society.
Yeah, and I think instead of the word strict, I'd probably use like disciplined, because
Yeah.
they're very no jokes.
Right. And that's what it is. It's discipline. It's because you could be a slave to your feelings, or you can be disciplined for more delayed gratification and more peace as a result of it. But a lot of people want to feel what they think is peace immediately, and so they just jump to whatever their feelings say without any regard for taking a step back and thinking what are the consequences of what I'm about to do. All right, let's go.
My child, you can't get him confused about his religion while I'm.
Should I go back a little?
Yeah,
Because
go
he
back
was
just a little bit.
Okay.
Right there.
Make something clear. My child, you can't get him confused about his religion while I'm teaching him something.
Yeah, but you can't just take me out of the equation if we have a child. What if they want to come? They say, I want to go with mommy or something like that.
No, it won't happen because I will be around. I will take them to the mosque.
Well, that makes me worry because
It's very simple. My child will be Muslim.
He's making it very clear.
Yeah, very clear. He said I'm gonna make it clear too.
Right. So he said, I'm gonna make it clear, and he said, this is how I want to raise my kid, and yeah.
Point blank period.
But this is also the issue that you face. He's a Muslim, and he wants to practice it and be disciplined in it. She's not, right?
She could care less.
Yeah, and if you've watched the show, she makes it clear that she's not interested in converting, right? And so, she's mainly with this guy because he's a good-looking guy. He's young, and he can probably give her what she wants, which is a child, before she's unable to, have any. His mistake was not only getting with somebody who is not the same, basically unequally yoked with him, but also the way he even met her. He saw a bikini picture.
Yeah.
It's
there's a lust right there.
But now he wants to impart,
be traditional.
Yeah, the discipline of his religion on her. That's not gonna work.
Yeah,
it's just not gonna work. All right, you can go.
Oh, and she knew what it was before this point. She knew,
Right.
He saw her in bikini picture, but I'm sure between that point and now, she knew he wanted to be disciplined in
Right.
his faith.
Right, and she's gone over to Egypt and been in the town and seen how he's lived, and so she kind of understands what she's getting into. But he also knows what he's getting into by the sheer
that's very
nature
true.
of how he selected her, basically.
Very true.
And
yeah.
that's what guys have to be careful of. It's lust of the eyes, right? We can't get so caught up. Like, looks are important for men. So get a woman that you are attracted to, or you're not going to be happy. Like, I got a dime piece over here. So she's taken. But that can't just be it. She has to have the same values that she has. You have to be equally yoked, or you're going to probably run into issues. There are instances where people are able to, work it out, like a Christian and an atheist, but generally it's because their values are aligned, and one's just professing to be one, and one maybe acts more like, follows the Christian values, just doesn't want to profess it, or the opposite, where they're both kind of just doing whatever, and one's just like, I'm a Christian because I'm scared of going to hell, basically, which is like the old adage. So let's get back into the reaction.
Simple, because I'm not Muslim.
If the child will be raised in the spirituality that Eve believes in, it's going to end up with the kid drinking alcohol and dating. And
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like her spirituality, I think it just goes back to, when people are like, oh, I'm spiritual.
Right.
It's spirituality without accountability.
Yeah, because it's based off of how you feel and what we think is right. And it's like, who cares what you think? Like, what makes you like the moral authority? It's like, we have scripture that has been proven to work over many years, and you just want to make up your rules as you go and just call yourself spiritual. I mean, it just doesn't really add up at the end of the day.
It does not.
doesn't know what he should do. Eve was raised with, let's say, too much freedom. And I don't think that she's going to be a good behavior for my child.
That's deep. Gotta pause that.
In this point,
That goes back to what I was saying.
Right. Yeah. Don't lay down with anybody. Well, he's actually being a little wise now. He's like, hey, I got myself into this situation, but if she's not going to, be on the same, if we're not going to be on the same page about this, she can't be the mother of my kid, rather than, oh, I'm thinking with my feelings in my heart. I go lay down, we have a kid, or he's just like, oh, we can worry about this later. They get married, they have a kid, and then what happens? The kid gets divorced, right? And then he's probably going to want to go back to Egypt where he's from. And now the kid's not only in a, broken home, but his dad may be on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
And so he's being very wise before, the conflicts occur, because you never want to break up a family if you don't have to, because the statistics for, raising a child with both parents in the home, as opposed to just a single parent household, the kid is at, a far greater advantage if both parents are in the household, or if both parents are just generally active in the kid's life.
let me be very straight with you. If my child will not be a Muslim,
It's like we're getting to it
I
today.
prefer not to have a child.
Period.
There it is. There it is. Man, and that's it. That's it right there. Any closing thoughts? Any closing thoughts?
Yeah. Really, I just go back to my.
I
I just go back to.
thought you didn't hear me. I was saying,
Let me just go to back to my point. Is know who you're getting involved with, and you should be good. Like, be wise.
right.
Know who you're getting involved with. Know where you're trying to go.
I mean, I think this
And
goes
everything will
back.
be avoided.
I think this goes back to the very beginning. Put God 1st. Humble yourself before, or go boldly to the throne of grace, and humbly to the throne of grace, and then be disciplined in your faith, in your walk with Christ, and then allow that person, or allow God to reveal that person to you. Make sure that you are yoked, which is the Bible verse. We didn't necessarily, well, we kind of went into it. But here it is on the screen. Do not be unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship has a righteousness with lawlessness? And what communion has light with darkness? And what accord has Christ with Belial, which is basically a demon, basically? Or what part has a believer with a non-believer? So, I mean, it's basically saying like, hey, don't be with something that is the antithesis of you, right? Light and dark can't mix, right? There's another Bible verse where it's saying like, the river doesn't flow fresh water or out of the river doesn't flow fresh water and salt water. It's like you can't mix stuff together and not expect something to be contaminated.
Yep.
Like you can't mix what's fresh and what's defiled together. And like if you go close to fire, you're gonna get burned, right?